Hello and welcome back everyone to the newest episode of Abhivyakti, the podcast series orchestrated by Delta, the Articulation Society of Shahid Bhagat Singh College, where the worlds of education, learning and communication merge together to form a beautiful tapestry of knowledge. I am Khushi Arora together with Revant Madnani, and today we have a remarkable guest joining us. She is not just an English communication coach, but a trailblazer who empowers learners with the art of communication, fostering self confidence along the way.
Yes, now let us embark on this exciting journey and take a deep dive into the brilliant mind and life of Ms. Diksha Khatri, an English and communication coach who has captured the minds of the youth with a penchant to gain fluency in this quote unquote nightmarish language. Ma'am is a graduate in Bachelor of Arts Honours in History from the prestigious Ramjas College of the University of Delhi and graduated with a Bachelor's in Education degree just to add even more depth to her well of knowledge. Ma'am, through her years of experience, knowledge of psychology, and working of the human mind, has taught dozens of students the art of communication using characteristic, fun, and engaging ways, amassing more than 500,000 followers on Instagram. I, being a former shy kid myself, feel pretty honored to be hosting this podcast and have you as a guest speaker for today, ma'am. If you can just share a few words with us.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm so thrilled to be on this podcast, and I would love to share my journey with all of you. I've been where you have been at some point, and I've been confused. I had no way, I didn't know what to do in life. So now seeing you being where I was, it's just bringing back so many memories, and that's one of the main reasons why I decided to be at this podcast because I love talking to people and I love helping people in some way or the other. So, the intent on today's podcast would be to do that since it's also around like career aspects after college and what do you do. And I hope, like, with my journey, I can help you in some way or the other because my journey was not a smooth journey at all. There were a lot of twists and turns. There was a switch in what I wanted to do. Like, I changed my career entirely. Like, both the careers were like poles apart, right? So, being from fashion to being in the education industry, it's been quite a ride. And yeah, I mean, I'm excited to talk about that.
Yes, thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, I had one personal question related to this.
Yeah.
Like you mentioned that you love to talk with people and
Hmm.
interact and gain new perspectives.
Yeah.
How can one talk easily with people? What is the basic crux? Like I read somewhere that you should try to find the beautiful thing in everyone. What is your perspective on it?
I think it's just always I've always been a very people's person, and I love having conversations with people. So for me, it has always been more like a chance to explore new things because whether it's a discussion you're having, you're meeting new people. I think every time I've met somebody new in my life, I've only learned from them. And it's not always a learning experience. Sometimes you also realize that, oh, this person is not the person I want to ever be friends with. So you don't only realize good things, you also realize things that you would not want people to have in your circle. Like, what kind of circle would you want to have? And second, just being social and talking to people can open up so many new doors for you, right? Like, uh, that's why whenever you're in a particular industry, the the whole bit of, like, socializing with people is so important because once you socialize, there's so many opportunities that open up for you. You explore new horizons, you explore so much together. So to be able to talk to anybody easily, that now there are a lot of things. If you're somebody who is anxious or who's scared of talking to new people, I would just say, just like, start. It's like driving a car. Initially, when you learn, it's so difficult and you always need somebody on that passenger seat, right? But eventually you get a hang of it. Correct. So it's the same with talking to people. So when once you're there, always view it as an opportunity to find something new. You never know, like, what somebody can bring to the table, right? You'll only know once you explore it and you try it. So yeah, the my only point would be like, my only advice here would be to just start. And the first few times it'll be difficult, but the other few times it'll just keep getting easier, and one day it'll just come naturally to you. So that's how you can do it.
Thank you, ma'am. I'll keep that in mind. Kushi, over to you.
Today, we delve into a topic that at the crossroads of aspirations and achievement, the impact of articulation on career readiness for graduates. It's a journey that will unveil the subtle yet profound ways in which the way we speak, the words we choose, and the confidence we exude can shape the destiny of graduates as they step into the professional world. So, fasten your seatbelt and get ready for a discussion that's all about crafting careers through the precision of articulation.
So now it's about time we all just cut to the chase and jump right into this podcast with ma'am. Ma'am, I would like to kindly request you to walk us through your journey from this initial desire to work in the fashion industry to your current role as a teacher. What inspired this aim of helping people become the best version of themselves?
Okay, so it all started when I graduated from school. And, of course, when you're graduating from school, you're clueless. I believe that when you graduate from school and you go experience your college life, that's when you start living in the real world. And I happened to choose North Campus, and I got so much exposure in the college I went to, Ramjas. And I took history honors because I didn't put any thought into it. I was just good at history back then, and I scored really well. So I was like, okay, history is a great option, but I was always interested in fashion. Like since the beginning of my school life, I've been into fashion. So I decided, let's appear for NIFT, and I failed NIFT twice. I couldn't get through, and that's when I decided that it's fine if you're not getting through NIFT. I'll just go and get an internship in the fashion industry. And it's not always important to get a degree. You can, maybe my experience, maybe just getting that experience that I need for getting into the fashion industry will help me pave a way forward. And that's what I did. I started interning during my summer vacations while I was still in Ranjas. I did this like every year, so I would work with like a new company every summer, and I really enjoyed it. And the moment I graduated from college, so I come from a very liberal background of parents. Like my parents have always been very encouraging. I was never made to like sit down, and they never like lectured me on, oh no, you should do this in your career and not that. So I always had that freedom to choose. So once I graduated, I decided I want to take a year gap. I don't want to go pursue another course. I would just want to take a year gap where I explore the fashion industry. And I did. And once I started getting that real work experience at like a real place, I stopped enjoying it. And that's when I pretty much realized, because in the fashion industry, the industry can be a little crude. Like if you are sensitive, you won't stay in the industry that easily. So there was too much happening, and just like, long story short, I realized that when I work at a place or at a company, the most important thing for me fundamentally would be to be in an environment where people respect me. So just having your fundamentals very clear when you start working in life is very important, because that's what's going to encourage you to keep working. Otherwise, if you're in a place where the environment is negative and you don't feel respected, you can't do anything, right? So that was my first learning in the fashion industry, that wherever I work, whatever my work environment is, there has to be some basic sense of respect that I get from my workers or my colleagues or from my seniors in that aspect. And then I left one company, then I went and worked with another company where I was leading everything, but in the fashion only. And I realized I stopped enjoying the work. That's when the whole career switch happened, because the second thing that my plan B had always been that I want to be a teacher. And that's when I decided to go pursue B.Ed. And the funny thing, when I was doing my B.Ed, when I was finishing my B.Ed, I never thought I was going to teach English, because I come from a social science background, right? I hated teaching English. I hated English as a subject. So I was very clear. So when you're pursuing B.Ed, you get two options. You get two pedagogies. So first is your main one, and the second one is your second. You need to always have two. So social science was my first, and English was my second. So very clear when I was interning. Also, I want to teach social science. English, I hated it. But you never know where life takes you, right? So the moment I graduated from college, it was COVID, and that's when there were no jobs in the market. So 2020 I graduated, and 2020 COVID happened. So right when COVID was at its peak, I was unemployed, sitting at home for 6 months, and nothing was happening. And that is when I'm supposed to get a job, right? Because it's finally my time to start earning and making money. And I'm like, what? I was 26 when I graduated, 25, 26 when I graduated from college, and all my friends were earning around me. I think I was the only one who wasn't earning, who didn't have like a job. So for me, I decided it's fine, whatever online opportunity I'll get, I'll take it and I'll get some experience. And English teaching job was the very first opportunity I came across. And I thought, oh God, I mean, this is one subject I didn't want to teach, and now I have to teach English to people. But the moment I started, the best thing was the company I started working with. Uh, it was a very clear and simple rule. One, it was a part-time thing, so I could work from home at my hours of my choice and everything. So, and the second great part was that I get to decide how to teach people. So there was no blueprint given to me by the company. The company said, you teach the student, you observe the student, and you see what they need to learn. So that kind of flexibility I always had when I was doing that job. And then finally, I worked with that company and I realized I love teaching English. And that is when I wasn't only teaching kids, I was teaching adults too, right? And mostly at this point, I was teaching adults. And just that sheer joy of teaching people, and to see how important the English language is in our country, and how most of the people feel like their self image and their self value, it just hits the rock bottom when they feel like they don't know the language. And even though they know a little bit, but the confidence, like just being underconfident, is something that stops them from achieving certain things. Is when I realize that when I get people from that point A to point B, I enjoy it so much. And of course, I realized I enjoy teaching when I was teaching in a school too. But then I didn't want to go for like something conventional also. When I was teaching in a school, I realized that it's good, but I don't want to be teaching the same thing over and over again every year, right? So I want something that's my own, where I get to choose, and I want to work around the curriculum. Like, I don't want to be just like in a space where I'm doing all the paperwork, I'm checking, following the same uh, curriculum that has been set by CBSE, ICSE, or IB schools or whatever. But then I had to look for a job, right? So I was working with the company, and then I left this company because the company was paying me peanuts. It was very less, and my parents are like, you need to start earning. You're 26, what are you doing? Go get a real job. And that was the only time when my parents they pressured me, because they knew, like, it's high time and I should be like able to earn and get like a great job for myself. But then I started trying again, and I remember there was a point when I applied for 50 job applications every day, like 50. I had an account on Indeed, Shine, whatever online portal you can think of where you can get a job, Naukri.com, jo bhi hota hai. Everything, everywhere I had an account, and I didn't hear back from even one of those schools. So it was just like heartbreaking after a point, because I thought there is no way, like, I'm not getting a job. I'm 26, I'm not earning anymore. So what do I do? And plus, it's COVID, right? And after, like, I will have such a huge gap on my CV, like nobody's gonna consider even like hiring me after a point. So, but that's when I also thought, while I was looking for a job, that let's make a page online. I have taught people. I have these people who've learned from me and they enjoyed learning from me. So why not just make a page and see how it performs online? And it was just it was just a very I don't know, बोलते हैं ना कि you have this internal feeling कि yeah you should do this, like ये कर लो types. So अंदर से जो आवाज आती है types, तो वैसा ही हुआ. And I made a page and I decided, okay, I'll start posting on it. So the first step, if you ever want to do something related to social media, I would just say, just make a page or whatever you're trying to do. If you want to do, just take the first step, then the second, third and fourth will come easily. So just take the first step and don't worry about the other steps that you're supposed to take. And that's exactly what I did. I just made a page. I remember I made a page in 2022. Yeah, it's 23. Yeah, 2022 in Feb. And Feb May, I took my domain name and everything. I started posting, and I think by March end, one of my videos went crazy viral, and I went from 500 followers to 60,000 followers in a week. And ever since then, the growth has just been, it's been exponential growth, right? Like there's never been any stopping, and I stopped applying for jobs. I realized that I can do this on my own and just creating a brand out of my own self. So everything happened in a very unplanned way. I never ever thought until last year, if you would have come and asked me that, do you see yourself emerging like this on social media? I would have just laughed it off. I'd just laugh at your face and I'll be like, what? No. I didn't know how to edit videos. I didn't know how to make content. Everything happened while I was doing everything. So today I can edit a video properly. Today I know like what kind of content goes viral. So everything comes with time. So yeah, of course there will be times in your life once you graduate from college. Graduation does not mean 100% clarity. Sometimes graduation can also mean going back to square one and 0% clarity. So don't be so demotivated, because your 20s are for exploring new things, are for exploring new career options. And 20s are also it's also a time in your life where making that switch is easy, because after 30 things are different, but before 30, whatever you do in your 20s, just live for experiences and try to figure out like what is it that truly will help you be professionally satisfied in your life, because it's one thing you have to live with for the rest of your life. Nothing else, everything else is going to get impacted by how professionally satisfied or unsatisfied you are in your life. So have your fundamentals very clear. Always know that what are some basic things that you want from a job. If you don't know what kind of career you want to be in, I would say don't make a list of things you want to do. Make a list of things you don't want to do. That will give you more clarity. That's what I did. I made a list of things I didn't want to do at all. So people will always ask you to नेम थिंग्स कि ये बताओ, चलो जो जो करना चाहते हो उसकी लिस्ट बना लो. नहीं, वो बनाओ जो बिल्कुल ही नहीं करना चाहते. तो जो करना चाहोगे उसकी क्लैरिटी विल कम more easily to you. So do that and keep exploring. Like don't be too afraid to take that jump or take that leap. It's completely fine. Everything will fall in place once you figure out what needs to be done. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
Thank you, ma'am. That was very insightful. And if I can call back to something you just said, that one should try and explore things. And you mentioned that when you were making the page, you felt that it was just right. Feeling of that it just seems to be right, and you jumped from one company to this, finding different purposes along the way. So, is the entire point of it to just try new things until you find something that you can completely stick with? Is it that about the 20s?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not always saying ki wherever you're satisfied, also just for the whole idea of experiencing something, you leave what you're already good with. The point is that don't be too close minded. Like don't shy away from new things, or don't try to, it's good to step out of your zone of comfort. So if something seems uncomfortable to you, don't hesitate and don't shy away from it. Rather, use it to maybe explore a part of you that you didn't even know existed in you. Like for me, just teaching English, I just always thought I hated it. But once I started teaching English, now I can't imagine myself teaching social science because I enjoy teaching English so much. So once you're open to doing new things, accepting new things, when you're accepting things with an open mind, you get to places where sometimes you can't even imagine. So the whole idea is that, so yes, your 20s are for exploring. And by that, I mean, you don't have to be afraid if something is not working out for you. So don't put that kind of pressure on you, because when once you see your peers doing really well, that pressure will automatically come to you. You will start pressuring your own self, but that's not the idea. The idea is to just understand that for this person A, getting to this point will take 2 months, but for me it can take 6 months, which is completely fine. All of my friends were on like a 12 lakhs ka package when I was unemployed. So for me, not even earning like 10,000 rupees, maybe just like earning 10,000 rupees a month was, for me, like I just put so much pressure on myself, thinking, oh my God, like, am I a failure? Like, am I not going to get anywhere? But that's not how it happens. You have to give yourself time and it will happen. There is no way it won't. If you're putting in the effort, you're putting in the time, and your intent is very clear. So always, yeah, so just explore if you have an opportunity to.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, ma'am. That was very enlightening. Ma'am, my next question is according to you, the use of complex or heavy vocabulary in a professional setting necessary or effective communication achieved through simplicity and clarity of language the key to success?
Okay. So I'm not saying you have to use heavy words. According to when I teach communication to people, I tell them communication should be simple. It should not be, you don't have to use those jargon terms like crazy advanced vocabulary to convey your point, right? I can say soft and you will understand soft, but I can similarly use the word tender to make you understand the word soft, right? They're both synonyms. It's just how comfortable you're with using certain kind of vocabulary. Having said that, I'm not saying having advanced vocabulary is not a great thing, but first understand that, try to first master speaking simply, because at the end of the day, the person you're talking to, you don't know what level they're at, right? So if there's somebody who speaks simple language, I mean simple English, not something very advanced, just remember, whenever there's communication, the idea is to convey your point clearly. The other person should understand what you're saying. दैट्स द होल पॉइंट. अब मैं किसी चीज को कुछ बोलूं या कुछ बोलूं, अगर आपको समझ आ रहा है, सो दैट्स द पॉइंट. बट हैविंग सेड दैट, इसका मतलब ये, शुड आई नेवर लर्न द राइट वे? ऑफ कोर्स नॉट. यू शुड आल्सो लर्न द राइट वे. सो once you've mastered using like your basic language, then keep growing, right? So it's always good to keep growing, but it's not a prerequisite to have a great this is not a prerequisite for great communication skills. So yes, keep learning advanced vocabulary words, because once you're in a professional setting, there will be a lot of things that people are going to write to you on the email or maybe in meetings. So to understand that, of course, you need to keep improving, but that's not everything that you need. Communication is supposed to be simple, not complicated. So yeah.
Thank you, ma'am. So it is basically a step-by-step ladder. You have to climb up, but the first step is simplicity, then it's complexity. Okay. Ma'am, for my next question, as we all are college students and we will be sitting for placement interviews, what according to you is the recommended mindset that one should adopt when preparing for and participating in a job interview?
Uh, See, I've never been in like a real job interview because I never got that chance. I've always only interned. I never sat for my college placements. Never ever. I just thought, you know what, I'll find a job on my own. which never happened. Should have sat down for my college placement. Maybe I could have found a job. But again, it was not something that was supposed to happen. Things are supposed to work in a different way. So once you're going for the job interview, remember you don't have to be anxious. And a great way to not be anxious, and this is one advice I give to all my students, and I share this with everybody, that if you're ever anxious, the difference between being anxious and being excited, there is no difference. The only difference is that what you tell your brain. So your brain processes anxiety and excitement in the same way. Like when you're anxious, your body starts shivering, your palms get sweaty, you have these that butterfly feeling in your tummy, right? And the same with anxiety and excitement, they both work in a similar manner. So the only way your brain knows the difference between whether you're excited or anxious is what you tell it. That's the only differentiating factor. There is no other differentiating factor. So whenever you're sitting down for the interviews, just do this exercise where you tell your brain, this is excitement, this is not anxiety. This is excitement for me trying something new. This is excitement for exploring a new opportunity. It's something that I'm experiencing for the first time. So it's okay to be a little nervous, but that's not going to define me. That's not going to define how I sit for this job interview today, right? So just view it like that. And the first job interview does not have to be the interview that you always crack. It's okay if you don't. I'm not saying that don't try to crack the first one. Good for you if you did. You do, that's amazing. But if you don't, there, with every job interview, it's only going to get better and better. Plus also, I don't have a lot of experience with job interviews, so I think these will be the only two things when I'm going for an interview, or whenever I've had like an online conversation with somebody at a senior level at one of the companies, and I'm just having like an interview for an online opportunity. I think these are the only two things I keep in mind. That just give your best, prepare, practice, just know what are the basic things that people are going to ask you in that interview, and be very clear. Your intent needs to be, just everything is all about intent, right? Once your intent and your mind is very clear about what you want and what you want to give to this company, it will automatically come to you. So it's okay to be nervous, that's fine, but there should be a tool that helps you get out of that anxiety, and try to use this tool. It has worked for me. I had a massive stage fright. Till date, if I go on stage, I will get nervous, but this is what I tell myself, that this is excitement. This is not anxiety, this is excitement, because I'm excited and that's what I'm experiencing, and you will feel calmer. So it helps.
Thank you so much, ma'am. What I took is it's about a mindset. Oh, we have to keep calm and tell ourselves that
Hmm.
it's pretty chill.
Yeah.
Thank you for that, ma'am. So my next question is, what role do you believe effective communication plays in the dynamics and success of the workplace?
A lot of a very big role, right? Now, tomorrow, if you're working at an MNC where all your clients are foreign clients, then what will you do? Then English becomes such an important part, right? And sometimes you're going to be talking to people in the UK, America, Australia, right? So the kind of language they use and the kind of terms we have, there's also a big difference. Of course, in that way, effective communication plays such an important role. Like till date, people come to my page and tell me, oh, why learn English? Such a useless language. Apni bhasha seekho. Fine. I mean, great. It's not like I don't know Hindi. I can speak Hindi really well. But if I am in a space where I work with mostly foreign clients, and my clients are people who only speak in English, I can't just be like, oh no, I speak Hindi, तो हम तो ऐसे ही बात करेंगे, right? I should also know that what will help me professionally and what will help me personally. So on that level, going by that logic, I will have to work on my English and improve my English. No, somebody comes and tells me कि मैं तो नहीं सीखूंगा, I'll be like, okay, मत सीखो. Like maybe you don't need it in your life professionally, which is completely fine. So I respect your choice. And people are gonna come and bash you all the time on the internet. So it does not even like matter to me anymore, because you do you. That's all. People are just gonna, somebody is gonna come and comment and be like कि English क्यों सिखा रहे हो, हिंदी सिखाओ. It's like me coming to you, अरे आप बीकॉम क्यों कर रहे हो, आप तो डॉक्टर बनो। अरे बट मुझे बीकॉम करना है ना, तो मैं डॉक्टर क्यों बनूं? नहीं, आप कॉमेडियन क्यों, आप तो कुछ और बनो। अरे बट मुझे तो कॉमेडी पसंद है, आई वांट टू गो ऑन स्टेज एंड मेक पीपल लाफ। सो इट्स नॉट, इट कांट बी लाइक दैट। सो you do what you are best at. So having said that, effective communication is very important, because you're going to meet so many people, not just from India but from outside India. And the global language right now and it's always been English. So how will you communicate? And not just professionally, when you're traveling, personally, people, when you go out, they have their own language, but they will only be able to communicate with you in English, right? People are not going to speak to you in Hindi or whatever your language is, correct? So personally also, effective communication is so important. And coming back to your professional life, of course, when you're writing emails, when you're talking to clients, and when you're deciphering what people are saying at your workplace, it's very important, because that's how you will be on the same page. Otherwise, agar aapko, like for example, if I'm talking to you and I'm just like the way I speak or the way my tone is right now, if I start talking in monotone and I'll be like, yeah, effective communication is very important, yaar, so you will get bored after a point. You'll be like, Are, ye kya ho gaya? Matlab, why is she like stuck? Like, why is she like a atka hua CD? Why is she talking like this? So, effective communication is not just your words, it's also how you articulate a sentence, it's also how you stress on certain words to convey your point. When I talk about the word stress, I stress more. But when I'm talking about something that's not very important for you to know, I won't stress on it too much. So people often think that right grammar, right pronunciation is the way to effective communication. But no, the way you present yourself, the way you stress on things, the way you write certain things is also very important when you're at your workplace. Like you can't go and tell your boss tomorrow, what have you done to this project? ये क्या कर दिया? No, it's your fault. You can't be like that, because that person is your boss. No matter how frustrating, annoying that person is, you need that job, right? And that's just basic respect you need to give to your superior. I mean, that's just how it is. That's how hierarchy of your workplace works, right? Professional hierarchy works. So yeah, in that case, you definitely need effective communication. That's why I tell people that you have to come to terms with the fact that English is important. It's fine, like if we're learning another language, but it's going to take you places that maybe other things won't. It's just a way to upskill yourself right now and do it if you wish to. So, yeah, I hope I answered your question.
Yes, thank you, ma'am. So English is a universal factor which is required and opens the door from various possibilities. But, ma'am, I know that there are no shortcuts to gaining mastery over this language and becoming instantly fluent at it. But what are some quick tips and changes that one can employ right now to improve the interpersonal skills?
So for me, how I improve my English, I wasn't always a great speaker. Like I said, I had stage fright, not a great public speaker, didn't like being on the stage, couldn't talk to people properly. But it only happened, I think, once you enter high school, once you're in 11th, 12th, it makes a huge difference, because you're more mature, you're talking about better things in life, you're meeting new people also, because you're at that basic understanding, mentally you're at a better level when you reach 11, 12. But like I said, real experience happens after college. So once I was out of college, you don't only meet people then who are from your city. Once you're in college, people from all states and cities of India are coming in. They're a part of your college, right? So everybody might not know Hindi. So for me, I had friends from South India, North India ke alag alag parts, people from East India. So I couldn't talk to them in just Hindi. And that's when I met so many people from different walks of life. I realized that I started speaking in English every day. So the first quick tip would be full immersion. Like once you're fully immersed in something, now that if like you can say ki mere paas to I don't have people to talk to, what will you do? In that case, does that mean there is no scope for you to learn? Of course not. So I loved watching TV shows. So there's so much I learned from TV shows and music. I love listening to English music. Ever since I've been a kid, I've only enjoyed English music. I love watching English TV shows. I love consuming content in English, and that also helped me. And till date, I learn something new from whatever TV show I'm watching. So does that mean like I'm perfect at this language now? No, your language is such an evolving aspect of life. Knowledge is never ending, right? Like wisdom is a never ending process, whether it's a subject, it's a language, or whatever it is. You're never going to stop learning. So yeah, TV shows, if you don't have people to talk to, listening to music. I know people will always they also come and tell me ki, Are, we've been watching TV shows and we've been listening to music and it does not help. Again, the whole point of intent comes here. Are you watching a 20-minute TV show and just listening to whatever is being said in the TV show? Then though of course it's gonna take you a lot of time to learn. Once you're watching a 20-minute episode, you have to also take notes. You have to understand how a sentence is being structured by the characters. You have to try speaking their lines. You have to try practicing their lines. So I've also done this in the past, where when some character would say something, I would just quickly make note of it on my phone, and I would try to use that word, right? So simple things. If you have people around you, speak to them in English. If you don't think people around you also know English, then start practicing on your own. Start consuming things in English. Start listening to the language. The whole point is to listen. I do not, of course, people also come and tell me, ki, Arey, why should we not read a book if I tell them go watch a TV show? But once you're reading, you're reading. The whole idea is to listen, right? Listen to how the language needs to be spoken. Otherwise, how will you know ki kya kya hai and kya nahi hai, right? It's again like driving a car example. I can't read a book and drive a car. I have to sit on the passenger. I have to sit on the driving seat to learn how to drive a car, right? Same with English. I can't just keep listening and reading to certain things. I can't be listening to certain things or reading certain things to learn English. I have to also start speaking. So whatever opportunity you get to speak, speak. It's fine if it's correct or not. I mean, it's fine if it's not correct or even if it's wrong, because most of the students I've come across, their only problem is the fear of judgment. कि हमें लोग जज करेंगे. अब okay, I'm not saying people will not judge you, because you take your natural behavior into consideration. Do you not judge people when they do something wrong? But another natural behavior would be, do you remember what people random person did wrong, and do you remember it for the rest of your life, or do you forget it in next 10 minutes? You make fun and you're like हाँ चलो अगले 10 मिनट में you will forget about it. Correct? So एक रिमेम्बरिंग स्पैन आपका होगा 5 से 10 मिनट. 5 से 10 मिनट आपने उस बंदे को जज किया एंड यू फॉरगेट अबाउट इट एंड यू विल नेवर इवन थिंक अबाउट इट. आपको फर्क पड़ेगा टुमारो इफ somebody is calling is pronouncing something differently and be like अरे इसको तो इंग्लिश नहीं आती. 5 मिनट के लिए डिस्कस करोगे, अगले 5 मिनट बाद नहीं करोगे. नाउ इमेजिन इफ your retention span is this much, 5 minutes. So do your 5 minutes decide how my entire life is going to be? So I keep staying in the fear of judgment, right? So people are going to forget. Why? Because you will also forget. That is your judging pattern, and this is how people's judging pattern is too. So if now you are the deciding factor here. Now you decide whether you want to go ahead and let that be an obstacle in your life that hinders your growth and that stops you from reaching some place in life. I mean, if yes, then of course go ahead. Then तो going by that logic, आप किसी फील्ड में कभी improve ही नहीं करना चाहोगे कि कोई ना कोई आपको सही कर देगा और आप कहोगे अरे मुझे तो कुछ नहीं आता, so I should stop practicing. No. So just remember, people will not remember. So don't live your life based on that, and just keep speaking, because if you don't speak you will not learn. Language is a practical thing, right? You have to keep talking to master it. Today I also did that because I spoke to so many people every day. It just comes naturally to me now. So that's how it's going to happen for you too, but be patient, like it's going to take time. That's it.
Thank you so much, ma'am. So we got it. Practice is a key, and we need not to fear about the society and people. So my next question is: time is a commodity we can never have enough of, especially in today's times where we all are jam packed with tasks and goals. So, ma'am, what advice do you have for the learners who are eager to learn and improve the English communication skills but have limited time for the same?
Okay, so of course we live in these fast times. लोगों के पास people don't have time. But this is what I tell people. You are saying you don't have 20 minutes to spare in your life for your own self. 20 minutes. 20 minutes is nothing. It's peanuts. So 20 minutes you set aside for learning every day. And if you think 20 minutes is also too much, start with 10 minutes every day. क्योंकि at the end of the day, बूंद बूंद से सागर बनता है ना. Correct? So with every day when you put those 10 minutes into like practicing, it's gonna give you some sort of result. Like वो जैसे आप every month you invest certain amount of money in mutual funds, right? And then वो compound होता है every year and it makes a large sum of money. It's the same with effort. So if you look at it mathematically, effort works in a similar way. With every 10 minutes I put into practice every day into like developing a certain skill or practicing a habit or developing a habit, the larger picture is because you can't see that larger picture, right? So that's what stops you from even putting in that effort. But those 10 minutes today at the end of the week will make 70 minutes, and the end of the other week I won't do the math because I'm very bad at it. I've been told to not do public math. It'll make certain amount of time and hours, right? So that's how it works. अगर तुम्हारे पास नहीं टाइम है take out 10 minutes every day यार. 10 minutes क्या होता है? You can't take out 10 minutes for your own improvement. Maybe it'll get you something better in life if you work on this. Maybe if it's so important to you, then to you will put in the effort now, right? So 10 minutes take out every day. Then once you're in the process, make those 10 minutes 15, 15, 20, 20, 30. And then whatever your upper limit is after that. If you think 30 minutes is good, I'm not even saying 30 minutes you have to take out and you have to practice something. Just watch anything. There's so many TV shows, there's so many podcasts, there's so many options. It's not like you're out of options. We're not living in 2000, na? We're in 2023. Options are unlimited. So you choose what you like and spend 10 to 20 minutes with it every day and do it with an intent to learn something from it. Don't just do it because it's a ritual you're following and ye to karna hi karna hai. No, make notes, right? See, okay, this is how certain things are done. Oh, this is the word that I learned today. Try practicing it. And whenever people come and attend my workshop, and this is what I basically talk about. How can you learn new vocabulary? Everything is in my workshop. कि आप basically अपनी English अपने आप independently कैसे better कर सकते हो? Because I have also been in that place where I've done it by just watching TV shows. And if you go and see people around the world who are learning or who are in the process of learning the language, they are literally doing the same thing. It has nothing to do with ki you are very smart and not very smart. It's just about how you use your present skills to achieve certain skills, and uh, how I use my brain with present skills to achieve certain skills. That's the only difference. The way you apply your knowledge is what sets you apart from other people, right? So it's as simple as that.
Yes, thank you, ma'am. And so basically, if one wanted to, they can make time for it, even if it's 10 minutes. But what strategies and actions can one implement today to pave the way for improved communication and enhance self confidence for your future self in those 10 minutes?
Just in those 10 minutes, like I said, choose whatever you think will work best for you when you're trying to learn a language. For me, I'm much of a, okay, so there are three kind of people. People who enjoy listening, people who learn from, this is what we are taught when we are when I was doing my B.Ed or when I was studying psychology. So the three kinds of people: people who enjoy only listening, people who learn visually, and people who need both to learn, visual and audio. So I realize I'm a very visual and audio person. Like, I won't just listen to a podcast and enjoy it, or I won't just read something and enjoy it. I need visuals and I need audio, because that's when I learn the best from something. So figure out what is it that you enjoy. Do you think you're more of a visual person with audio? Do you think you only enjoy listening because देखने का time आपके पास है नहीं, and you commute a lot? So while you're commuting, it's easier to listen to a podcast than watch a TV show, right? So that totally depends on you. So figure that out, and that only you can do. No expert will come and tell you, na, unless you're seeking help. And you like, प्लीज मुझे बता दो कि मैं कैसे better learn करता हूँ. वो तो in the end of the, at the end of the day आपको ही पता होगा कि how do you learn better. So once you figure that out, figure out, like, make a list of things that you can start doing right now. For me, I watch English TV shows every day. I watch an English movie every day. So every day I'm also learning from them, right? I learn new phrases, I learn new vocabulary, and yeah, so that's it. Immediately, if you want to start, figure out what you're into, figure out, like, what is it that like, what is it that you enjoy, and just remember the end goal is, of course, you want to be at a certain level, but you can only do this when you enjoy something. Enjoyment is a very crucial part of each and every process. Whether you're learning a language, whether you're at your workplace, I'm not saying enjoyment is always going to be there. Of course, enjoyment का भी saturation point आता है, like everything. But your basic, like, आपको आप जो कर रहे हो, आपको at least 50% joy तो देना चाहिए, if not 100% always. तो एक basic लाइन होना चाहिए फॉर यू इन योर ओन माइंड्स कि अच्छा चलो, आज 100% एंजॉय नहीं करी तो 50% तो कर लूँ, एटलीस्ट आई लर्न समथिंग. एंड ऑलवेज this is this is how I always teach my students also. Try to explore, like, new topics. Like we said, how to go and talk to people easily. I make my students practice a lot of things that are out of their comfort zone. So there's also a scientifically proven fact that says that if you want to learn something, if you're a learner right now and if you're learning a skill, 70% of it should be something that you can do on your own, but 30% should be challenging, because that is the learning curve. That is how you learn. Otherwise, if I'm learning something and it's always 100% doable, so for to there is no learning that's involved in it, no? So whenever I'm giving a task to my students, 70% is something that they can solve on their own. The 30% is the challenge. That 30% is the ladder to another level. So don't always keep doing the same thing. Also find things, maybe topics that you might not usually listen to, you might not usually indulge in. Try to also explore those topics, because those kind of topics, once you learn something on that, it will be an opportunity for you to go out in the world and talk to people about anything. Like today, I can be in a room and talk about anything except for math. I'm sorry, that's my weakness. My math is very bad. So, but yeah, I can talk about, like, mostly everything. I won't be scared कि अरे I तो don't have things to talk about. No, कुछ भी बोल दो, I will talk about it. I can have a conversation with people, and this only happened because I've had enough number of conversations to reach this point. I teach different things to people, where not only them, but I also sometimes have to step out of my comfort zone to teach them something, right? So it's only when you're stepping out of your comfort zone, find activities, tasks that challenge you, and please take out 10 minutes of your life and figure out what is it that you enjoy.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for the great tips. As we all love binge watching Netflix, and we can use it for our benefit too. So, ma'am, as you've already told us about how to handle anxiety during interview times, but a lot of us have a fear of speaking in front of large crowds and or approaching strangers. So, like, what if we screw up, and what if we are not loud enough? What if we don't look presentable enough? So, ma'am, any practical approaches you can provide for managing anxiety during such times?
Yeah, because there will be only two scenarios. Either you will screw it up or you won't. So you choose like which side would you like to choose. I mean, even if you screw up, like how does it matter? It's fine. You know, like a great person once said that I'm only as right when I'm wrong. Okay, you only keep getting right in life when you are wrong enough number of times. So going by that logic, if I'm never wrong, how will I ever be right in my life? So it's okay if you screw up, but there's also a 50% chance that you won't. So कुछ भी हो सकता है. So it's like a leap of faith. आपको अपने आप को थोड़ा सा वो you'll have to tell yourself ठीक है चलो screw up होगा तो हो जाएगा, it's fine, but it's okay, maybe you learn something from that screw up. ऐसे तो फिर तो going by that logic मैं तो कभी लाइफ में कुछ ट्राई नहीं करूंगी, because the fear is so overpowering, it's not going to help me explore new things in life. So it's okay if you screw up. I know the fear of judgment is too overpowering when it comes to this. It's easier said than done, but do it enough number of times, then it'll be easier to do than said. Just simple. तो कुछ नहीं होता like. And second, just go and talk to people. It's okay. कुछ नहीं होता. Like I said, आप कितना ही जज कर लोगे ना किसी को और कितना ही याद रख लोगे. ठीक है, if you want to go, I would say one immediate tip I would give you is that if you know that today you're going to be in a certain setting where certain kind of people are going to be there and there is a certain kind of conversation about certain topics that's going to happen, then I would prepare in advance. Maybe like I'll practice in front of a mirror, I'll watch a few videos about conversations, like how to have a conversation in this XYZ setting. You know, if you're going to a, if you're an engineer and you know that you're meeting people who are also your fellow, who are also fellow engineers, then maybe I'll just, you know, make keynotes and I'll practice in advance ki, theek hai, I'm going to this event, what kind of conversation am I supposed to have with people. Thoda sa advance mein prepare so that you have that particular way of just going about certain things. But yeah, don't sweat too much. It's fine. It's okay if you make mistakes. Nobody's gonna hang you for it. It's okay.
Yes, thank you, ma'am. As a former introvert, I faced a lot of anxiety back when I was a kid and faced difficulty in communicating with people. And I thought maybe if I can understand their thinking psyche, that I can connect with them better. So my question is, ma'am, what do you think does psychology aspect play a role in human relations? For many conversations don't even begin as we judge the person before us too harshly. How can we handle it better?
So handle like I didn't get the question. Could you? Yeah.
How can we handle not judging the person before us and being open to listening to them? That was my question. What does psychology play?
Okay. So how can you like listen to people better? See, listening na is a skill. Everybody does not have this skill, right? So like how you learn speaking, you have to also learn how to be a good listener. And it's very important in communication to not only just always speak, but also to listen. Like there's a difference between एक quote चलता था ना internet पे, I don't want you to hear, I want you to listen. Right? Because hearing is just hearing. Listening is that you're listening with an intent to not answer, but with an intent to just listen to the person. Hearing, the intent behind hearing is कि मुझे बस अपना point रखना है इसके बाद, इसलिए मैं आपको सुन रहा हूँ. Listening is you let the person express themselves, right? That's what you do. The person is expressing and you're just a nice empathetic listener there who's listening to their conversation, and once they're done talking you chime in with your own thoughts. How psychology is important here is to not, everybody knows, they keep saying don't judge the book by its cover or whatever, but again, it's human tendency to judge people by the way they look or how they present themselves. So if you also want to be like, if you want to have a great conversation with people, you have to now for okay, imagine if you are blind. Okay, imagine if you can't see, you don't have vision for a day. Will any of these factors like matter to you? Then what the person is saying is all that matters, right? Because you can't see things. So maybe view it as that if you don't have your vision for a day and you're talking to people, how would you decide कि मुझे इनसे बात करनी चाहिए या नहीं करनी चाहिए? Based on the kind of conversation you're having. Then I'm not saying कि अगर conversation boring है, insightful नहीं है, कुछ नहीं है तो भी बात करते ही रहो. अरे तो फिर तो आपने सीख लिया कि बात नहीं करनी, move on, go talk to somebody else. If it's of no use to you, कोई ऐसे pressure थोड़ा है कि नहीं लोगों से तो बात करनी है, मजा आता है, अच्छा होता है, कितना कुछ सीखेंगे, नहीं. Sometimes you will not learn from people. Like I said, sometimes you learn that I don't want to learn anything from this person. Move on. So, I mean, that's one way of not judging people, is just thinking, oh, if I can't see for a day, will I talk to this person? And that's when you actually assess their speaking bit. Second would be, sometimes it's not about you being interested in talking to the person or not, it's about whether the person is interested in talking to you or not. And your body language always tells. For this, if you want to understand, go watch a YouTube video on what kind of body language do people have when they're not interested in you. Like if you're talking to me and if I'm not interested, and after every 2 minutes I keep saying, oh, I keep making an excuse to leave, or I keep stopping the conversation, it means I want you to stop talking. So get that verbal plus slash non-verbal view that my that I'm giving, that my body is showing you. So if I'm not looking you in the eye, I'm not saying everybody is going to look you in the eye while talking. A lot of people are afraid of doing that. It took me a lot of time to look people in the eye while I'm talking. And by when I say like looking in the eye, I'm not just saying like start staring into their eyes. You should know when you have to take your gaze away. But just, looking at people when they're talking. And third, looking at people, like just listening to people and looking at them while you're listening to them. You should not be looking here and talking. If I start talking to you like this is so weird, right? Correct? It means I'm simply like not interested in whatever you're saying. I'm just so interested in like other things. I've been in a situation where I'm talking and the person is just like looking everywhere but me. So it just, so catch on those verbal slash non-verbal cues. They're gonna help you understand better. So it's not just whether you want to talk to someone or not. You have to also in the process understand whether this person is interested in having a conversation or not. So also try to read the room and then go ahead with that conversation.
Thank you so much, ma'am. That was very enlightening. So, ma'am, can you recount a remarkable journey of a student who, with your guidance, progressed from zero to hero in their communication skills, and what were the turning points in this transformative journey?
Oh yeah, this is my favorite story to tell. This is what I tell everybody, that I do have a student. She's been learning from me for it's been almost 2 years now. And when she started learning, she started from scratch. So she's from India. She only knows Telugu. She does not know Hindi and she didn't know English back then. Very little English, and Hindi to almost not, like nothing. So for me, it was a challenge when she started learning from me. I had to teach her English. And now, certain things when you're teaching people, you have to also sometimes have to also use Hindi when I'm teaching people, right? Because to make something clearer. And I would use a certain word in English and she would not understand. And I didn't know like how to explain it to her. So I remember I would go on Google Translate and translate it to Telugu and tell her, what, like this is what it means, and that's how she would understand. So that was one time when she started, we couldn't even have a conversation with each other. And fast forward to today, she speaks very well. We can have a conversation with each other. She understands almost everything. And yeah, like I don't have to use Telugu anymore to explain certain things to her because her English is now at a level where she's easily able to get whatever I'm telling her. Now, this didn't only happen because I taught her a certain way, or maybe there's something different that I did. It also happened because she is such an enthusiastic learner. Whenever she would come for a class, she would have 100 questions to ask me on a certain topic. You know, every day she would get like number of questions and I would answer those. So is that's a sign of, that's a sign that shows that somebody is putting in the effort that needs to be put in every day. People also come to me and tell me कि क्या हम 6 महीने में इंग्लिश सीख जाएंगे, and I very simply tell them that I can't teach you English in 6 months. But okay, maybe there is a scenario where I teach you English in 6 months is when you're also willing to put in the effort to learn the language in 6 months. But will you be perfect at it in 6 months? Not really, because like I said, evolving process hai. There's always something new that's happening. So if you want to learn something, having a great teacher is important. Having a teacher that understands your needs, what you need, is very, very important. But at the same time, how much effort you're willing to put in is also very, very important. And I saw that missing in a lot of students that I taught. They would just come and be like, "Arey, hum to seekhe hi nahi." It's because what were you doing when I was not teaching you? Once you leave the class, do you even go back to what was taught to you? Do you even try practicing it on your own? Do you try consuming content in English, or do you try doing something that revolves around the language? No, right? So you have to, it takes two to tango, correct? You have to meet me halfway. So if I put in 100%, you will also have to put in 100%. Otherwise, there will be no learning. Then, though, I'm only teaching and you're just listening. And you're expecting ki one day a miracle will happen where I will just start speaking fluently and the world will witness this skill that I've developed miraculously or whatever. But that's not how it's gonna happen. I'm sorry. Like, you have to put in the effort. And that why I tell her story is because I saw how much effort she put in. She comes from a very small town in Telangana. It's not a full city. It's also like close to like a village. So it's not a very developed place. So there were a lot of issues. There were internet issues that she would face. There were like power cut issues, power outage, but she would still make it to the class. She would still do whatever was being taught to her. And she went from like not being able to have a conversation with me to having a great conversation with me now, uh, in like in I think in less than a year she was able to do that. And today she's still learning from me because it's there is nobody around her to speak to her in English. Her kids are there, her husband, of course, but how much conversation can you have with people? At a point, like, there's nothing new that you're learning from them, no? Because everybody is busy, kids are busy with their school, husband is busy with their work, with his work. What will you do? So she's still learning from me because she needs somebody who can keep teaching her something new every day. So I think uh, that feeling is very important when you're learning, and that's how you will go from zero to hero, not just because of what I've taught you, but also what you learned and what you practiced in the process.
Thank you, ma'am. That story is very inspiring and just drives home the point that if we wanted to, we definitely would be able to.
Yeah.
Now, ma'am, moving momentarily towards a more informal segment, Khushi and I have a special game prepared just for you, rightly called Think on Your Toes, where we'll be telling you a word and you are to say the first word that pops up in your mind associated with our said word.
Okay.
Are you ready, ma'am?
Yeah.
We begin in three, two, one.
So, ma'am, your first word is happiness.
Internal.
Very nice. And your second word is Delhi University.
Love.
And friends,
Important.
English,
Should learn.
affection,
Overrated.
and team,
Sorry, I didn't get the word.
team.
Unity.
Oh, socializing.
Uh, Fun.
Oh, and your last word is dream.
Uh, Reality. That's only I could think of.
With great answers.
Yes, thank you, ma'am. And I had a personal question, ma'am. Have you seen the film English Winglish? It came a while back about Sri Devi's journey at learning the English language to gain a family's respect.
Hmm. I
So, what
have.
were
I
your
love.
personal opinion? Yes, ma'am. What were your personal opinions about the film?
Oh God, I love that movie. I remember I watched. It's been so long since I've watched that movie, but I remember when it came out. I absolutely loved watching that movie. And to that social stigma that we have, that there's always a certain age to learn things. That the whole film, the idea of the entire film was to address that social stigma, that no, there is no particular age to learn something. You can learn it at any age. And most of the students I have, especially like females, they are around that age. I think she's in her early 40s in the movie, and she has two kids and a husband, and she goes to a whole new country and she's trying to learn the language, and she does. So I think just remember that age should not be the deciding factor for things. If you want to learn a skill, just start. And that's what I found so inspiring, that despite of each and everything, every hardship in her life, I don't fully remember the film, but whatever I remember, there's so much she overcomes, there's so much judgment. Like, I think from her own family there is so much judgment that she
Yes,
overcomes.
ma'am.
Yeah.
Her husband, I think, berates her because she can't speak in English.
Exactly. And
Mhm.
people always like showing her down because she couldn't.
Mhm.
I think just overcoming that and just relentlessly following what you want to achieve, I think that was quite inspiring. And of course, that movie is such a great example for to just understand that anybody can do this. It's not that hard. It's only as hard as we make it to be.
Thank you so much, ma'am. As I'm an English honor student, so I have a personal question for you. As and you are a communication coach, you must have a favorite idiom or phrase.
Yes.
And which one is your favorite and why?
My favorite idiom. I think my I think my favorite idiom is raining cats and dogs, but there's a story behind it. It's because when I was teaching this idiom to one of my students, he's this 8-year-old kid. So when I taught him for the first time, he's like, so he was he was in shock. Like, I told him, Rihanch, it's raining cats and dogs, and he said, but cats and dogs are not falling from the sky. What are you saying? And since then, it became his favorite idiom when I told him. And he would just, every time it would rain, he's like, you know what? It's raining cats and dogs outside. Did you see? So it happened to become my favorite idiom too. Because he would just say it in such a funny way that I was like, oh God, this has to be the funniest thing ever. So yeah, that's my favorite idiom because of Rianch.
Yes, thank you, ma'am. So, as we know that reading helps a lot in developing our vocabulary, but also in gaining a more articulate perspective. But it can be so boring at times because when you're reading two pages, you just feel our third page pe nahi jate hai. So, what is one book according to you that everyone should be reading?
I'm also not an avid reader. I enjoy, like I said, I'm more of a visual and audio person. Auditory and visual things are, it's something that I'd much rather watch a movie than read a book on it. Okay, but I think one book that I talk to everybody about. which I loved, and that was The Big Leap. Yeah, The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks. It's a beautiful book. So if you want to like start reading, like one advice, try to understand what kind of genres do you genuinely like enjoy reading. Like I'm not into uh, I like reading books about psychology or like skills, or books that take me into the minds of human beings. I love doing that because it's also something that helps me with my work, like helps me understand my students better. So the Big Leap by Gay Hendricks, it's amazing. Once you start reading it, there are so many things the author is talking about, and it's just gonna blow your mind. You'll be like, wow, I mean, this is something that tends to happen in my own life when I'm trying to learn something, when I'm at my workplace, my personal relationships, everything. And how do you sort of not sabotage your own life? How do you not become a destroyer but a creator in your own life? So it's a beautiful read.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I'm definitely gonna read that. Also, ma'am, what are your hobbies besides teaching? Well, I mean, we all would love to know what does Miss Diksha get up to if she has a free time.
My hobbies. Uh, so I love binge watching. I'm a binge watcher. I can watch TV all day long. It doesn't matter. Like clearly, like a professional binge watcher, I would call myself that. Uh, Second, I love meeting new people. So I love going out and meeting my friends every week. It's something that I thoroughly enjoy. I like listening to music. I like working out when I'm not teaching. So, and I think one more thing that I really love, it's cooking. I enjoy cooking thoroughly. Like I love creating healthy recipes, or cooking my own food if I want to eat healthy. I think that's what I love. Genuinely love. And I love window shopping. It's the best. That's my guilty pleasure, window shopping.
That's a great set of hobbies, and I think we have similar
Yeah.
hobbies. Kind of.
Yes. So, ma'am, we all are in our 20s in this podcast. And besides focusing on our careers, we also have this inherent desire, this urge to connect with the people around us. So, on a personal note, ma'am, what do you think is the best advice to create a good first impression on a date with someone?
First impression. First of all, dress nicely. When you go and meet someone, you want them to be dressed nicely, right? So you should do the same. You should dress nicely. You should just I think one thing that's very important to me is I like it when people smell really good, because I love smelling good. So I make sure that whenever I'm going for a date, I smell good, or whenever I'm gone for a date, I would just like dress really well, present myself. Because when you see a person for the first time, when you're going out on the date with them, you you observe them with your eyes. Like it's what meets the eyes in the first go, right? You're not gonna hear them talk. पहले आप उनको अपनी आंखों से परखते हो, right? So that way you should be able to impress a person. So I think just dressing nicely, smelling good, and just I think what else? I think one thing that now this is very personal. One thing, how I always like judge people on the date, whether they're nice or not, is how they talk to like people, in the sense, like for example, how will I talk to a server, or how will I talk to like a security guard, or how do I just talk to people who are not superior than I am? How do you treat your inferiors is very important. So if somebody is not very nice to a server, or let's just say a guard who's opening the door for them, or maybe anybody like who they feel is inferior to them, so that's a very important deciding factor. So make sure when you're trying to set an impression, you give that mutual respect to people around you. because it can be very important to some people. And fourth, if you have a great sense of humor, use that. And be a great listener on a date. Don't just keep yapping, yapping, yapping. Give the person the chance to talk to. Yeah, I think that's it. These five things, according to me, they will help you set a great impression for sure.
Thank you, ma'am. I will keep that in mind for my next one.
Yep.
Those were great tips. Being a girl, I can tell those were the great tips. So let's take this to the end. Ma'am, thank you for being the part of this wonderful podcast, and we are grateful to get your insights on this topic. And it's been an enlightening session to the today's topic. And most importantly, we found this podcast highly thought provoking as you have encouraged us to keep improving and employing these ideas in our life.
So, thank you all for tuning in, and we look forward to having you with us on the very next episode. Until then, stay curious, stay informed, and stay tuned.